if I am going to date men, I need to do some serious healing of codependency. And I also need a different approach to this, like where I center myself, where I don't lose myself. Because so many women lose themselves in relationships. And some women never even get the opportunity to know themselves because they jump from one to the next to the next.
So that podcast that I was on just came out today. I'm going to tag them here, but also you can go over to Instagram, find them there. And then, of course, Apple, Spotify, blah, blah, blah. Before I talk about that episode, I also want to share that yesterday I got a Google Alerts that I showed up on this publication talking about the Great Divorce, which, by the way, I'm going to tag Hope Pedler, and she's the one who coined this, like at least a year ago in a video that went viral. But she's not mentioned anywhere in this article, but I am. Like, none of my mutuals who are saying all the stuff that I'm saying, but like different aspects of it, are not in this. They're just like divorce attorneys, therapists, moms, blah, blah, blah. And it's like Mel Hamlet, a big TikTok creator. Okay, first of all, that's like flattering. I didn't know that that's what I'm known as, but yay. But anyone who's following me and follows Hope Pedler, will you please start tagging her or, tweeting back at publications and stuff like that when they don't credit her? Because as a journalist, I can't tell you how many times I never get mentioned for the things that I started conversations on. And we know this happens even more to Black, Indigenous, and other women of color, especially Black women. The only article that I've ever seen, I didn't coin King Baby, but people say that I made it popular. I don't know if that's true. I kind of think it is because I've been saying King Baby for a really long time. People want me to make t-shirts and stuff, but I know there's like brands called King Baby blah and blah, blah, blah. So I'm not obviously not going to trademark it, but sometimes it's annoying when you actually do work that puts conversations in a certain context and then you never get credit for it. So this is Glamour Magazine. Thank you, Glamour. I've written like 20 articles for them, but not Glamour UK, and this was Glamour UK, and they did this, and thank you. I'm also going to tag a couple other of my mutuals. You probably follow them already. Talk about weaponizing competence, with which, that darn chat / Laura Danger is the one that really made that like part of our everyday vocabulary, as far as I know. And also my mutual Cecilia Regina, who popularized the shut up ring. As far as I know, that term has been around for a while, but it's popular now because of my mutual. So I'm tagging Cecilia. I want people to know where these things come from, because I've done other videos before where like I show up in articles a lot of times and in books. I've been in like 5 or 6 different books now, and no one contacted me and told me I was in their book. And I would love to brag about being in books, but no one even tells me until someone reads it and they're like, did you know you're in this book? And I was like, no. So please help us out, because writers, journalists, content creators, a lot of times we really have no way of knowing how far our work reaches. So back to this podcast with Kristen and Jolenta. They asked me to be on their podcast, and that was like such a fun conversation. I got to hit so many points that I talk about here. And, I haven't done podcasts in a really long time, but I used to do them all the time. And that's actually one of my next goals, is do a podcast of my own, but you have to be very intentional when you do it. I'm also coming out with a Patreon soon, so that people who really enjoy my content can like get like next level stuff, right? More interaction with me and stuff like that. Cause this is all like so overwhelming. I don't know what I'm doing, y'all, but I love podcasts. But I have to like get a whole crew of people to help me, cause I'm a Gen X. Like, the fact that I even figured TikTok out is amazing. I'm just like, what is it? Right? I actually still text like this with one finger. Anyway, one of the main points that I really came to in that interview was just how powerful these apps are. Because the power of storytelling, we really don't all understand how powerful it is. It is one of the most effective tools for change. And I say this in my personal life, and I say it as somebody who has coached writers for quite a while, and I see one of their pieces go out into the world and them get like tons of emails or, tweets and whatever, all that stuff from people being like, oh my God, your story changed my life. And I get those too. Like, it's like makes me feel a little uncomfortable that I'm breaking up so many marriages. I take great pride in it if it's a terrible marriage and it is beyond repair. I take great pride in that. I hope I'm not breaking up marriages that actually, could be salvageable if, the men actually want to do the work and the women want to do the work, right? Because, this is the problem in a lot of these cishet marriages, is that a lot of us can see everything that men are doing wrong. But what I had to do in my work in order to have a healthy relationship was decenter men as a single woman, and then work my butt off every day, continuing to decenter men as I started to navigate the dating world. That meant centering my O. That meant centering my time. That meant not compromising all the time, not being the one to carry the conversation in text, especially not right out of the gate. That meant not chasing after dudes who were like already low effort from the beginning. That meant like literally respecting my time and my body. And I don't mean like in a like purity kind of way, like purity culture, because I was banging dudes all over the place. I loved it. I had so much fun. One night stands, like threesomes, all kind of stuff, right? But what I mean is like, there's a way to even hook up that feels empowering and very like in line with like my feminist value system and self-respect, versus how I used to hook up was just like letting men use my like it was their right hand, assuming their dominant hand is right hand. Could be a lefty, whatever. And then walk away from those feeling like crap. And then every day is a journey within my marriage to constantly work on my codependency. Because this is a sneaky little devil. It comes out in all these ways of saying, Melanie, you should do this, you should do this, you should do. And I have a man who actively does not want to exploit me. This man loves the crap out of me. I'm like the dude in our relationship on so many levels. He's like the loving, nurturing one who cooks for me. He like is like lifts me up and pours into me. Not that I don't pour back, but despite even like our dynamic and how we're kind of like, you know, I'm like kind of a lot of like tomboy energy or whatever, or I don't know what to call it. I don't want to be like masculine, feminine, because sometimes I think we're using those words wrong. But you know, I'm just like, this is what I'm going to do. I'm action oriented. I'm la 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 la. And he's more like love and emotions and emotional intelligence and hard conversations and all that stuff. And yet, even though we already have this natural balance, right? That we fit each other so well. All that social conditioning is like, Melanie, you should do this, you should do that, la 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 la. What's he gonna feel? What's he gonna la la la? You know, the same way I do with like any like Joe schmuck out on the street. Decentering men is a lifelong journey. I don't think it'll ever be complete. But I will say it was a lot easier decentering men when I was single than to ever start that journey in a relationship. It's actually pretty easy in a relationship, but only because I had a long, strong foundation of not centering romantic love, relationships, men, other than like perverted old men who would, you know, stalk me and stuff. But that was like tied to trauma and stuff, yeah, you know, whatever. But for the most part, the reason why I've had such an amazing, adventurous, cool life is because I wasn't dealing with men, especially not on a romantic level. That was my saving grace. But despite that foundation, as soon as I would get in relationships with men, it didn't start until I was like 36, really. The old programming was like, bing! And I'm like, who is this? Who are you? Right? So this work is super hard, y'all. My feminism has only gotten stronger from being in a relationship and having to do this work. But I have to work my butt off, because if I start to slack, that old codependent patriarchal voice will start sliding back into BS, where I forget to ask myself, how do I feel? What do I think? What do I want? And thank God I have a husband who constantly reminds me of that whenever he can see I'm in like, he's like, what do you want? What do you need? How do you feel? Forget about me. Forget about them. What about you? It is so not most women's default to do that. We have never been taught to do that. And even if we were taught that from our single moms or our aunts or our sisters or, you know, whoever, our friends, we have a lifetime of movies and music and magazines and news stories and like of everybody else being like, sentiment, everything's about them. So that's it. This work is so hard, y'all. But I appreciate everyone who is on this journey with me, who likes my work, supports my work, reads my work, watches my work, teaches me things like my mutuals, and a lot of people who leave comments that I'm like, pfft. So thank you so much, and go listen to this podcast.